Hello, welcome back. This is Chuck Byers, and this is Annie 150. This is Module 2, and this is Part 4. So light linking is great for this instance. It doesn't work all the time. Okay, so let's go ahead and close that. And I probably should rename the lights appropriately. So let's call this back underscore light. Hit enter, and this is our fill light. Probably a good idea to manage our scene anyway. Fill light, and then this is our key light. So if we give this to, give our scene to another artist to work on, at least we have everything named, and that's nice to have if you're trading this off. All right, so good management is always good. So let's go ahead and close that. I'm going to close the render. Now we got the highlight problem fixed. I think everything's looking pretty good. I think we're ready to render a high quality render, and this will take longer, but it'll look a lot nicer. So let's see what we get. Let's go to bookmarks. Let's go to our bookmark that we have, and let's go ahead and do another quick render. And there's no highlight. Everything looks really good. I see some graininess to some things. I kind of like the reflection, and it's like super bright reflection. It fades out. It looks pretty realistic. So I'm pretty happy with that. With that render, actually looks really good. Just the quality. So we can see some anti-aliasing issues, because it's such a low quality picture image. So let's go ahead and close that. I think we're ready for a full render. So let's go into our render settings, and this is where we can change everything. So in our Commons tab, we're going to check this, go from 540 to 1080. And then we're in the Arnold renderer. This is our quality of render. So the resolution is higher. So now the quality needs to be higher. So let's go bring the quality to, let's go 6, diffuse 3, and specular 3. Transmission, we really don't have anything. Transmitting, we don't have subsurface scattering. We don't have volume indirect. The rate depth, we'll probably turn this up to 12. Diffuse to 2, specular to 2. Transmission, we don't have really anything in there for transmission. We do have a reflection, so let's turn that to 10. And transparency, we don't have any transparent, but let's go to 12 on that, and that might just give us a little bit higher quality. Even though we don't have anything transparent, the reflection, we get some reflection quality out of that. So okay, so everything's good. Commons 1920 by 1080. So now we're at HD 1080. Okay, we're ready for a final render. This is going to give you full screen. It's going to take a while, so I'll probably pause the video. Okay? All right, let's get started. Okay, we're back, and it took 2 minutes and 20 seconds to render. We've got a very high resolution image. It looks great. It might still be a little bit dark, but I can make those changes by bringing it into Photoshop and raising the values, the exposure values, or whatever package that you can find that to raise those values. You can do that. It's whatever Windows has. You can use Windows. I can show you a way to do that with Windows. Actually, we could probably do that. So I'll do that in just a little bit. I kind of want to get rid of the screenshots and get a full view of this thing. 1:1 value. Let's pull this down. I think we're at 1:1. That looks really good. Let me pull back and get the full view of this. I really like it. It looks good. I can see, I can get pretty close to it before it starts breaking apart. But yeah, the resolution is good. This is just resolution issues. being still at 1080, but it's way better at a certain view. That looks pretty good. It looks really good. So I'm happy with that. A little bit dark, I think, but now let's talk about, so there's a good render. So if you finally get a good render and you're happy with it, go to File, Save Image, okay? And you're gonna want to place it. It's gonna place it in your projects folder, in the images folder. So just understand that's where it's gonna go, unless you didn't set up your project. Hopefully you did, and you have your images folder. So we want to put it in there, and we're gonna call that. You have to put your first initial last name. Dice render, whatever, and we're going to do 0, 1. So we're going to have some renders. We're going to do some different renders, so go ahead and save. So I'm going to close that. You saved it. We're good. Now I'm going to kind of add a little action to this. If I like the render, I'm going to kind of move this up in the air. Okay, rotate it so I can see all 3 sides, and do the same thing with this. Now notice that I've got a dark area down underneath here that the light isn't really isn't able to see. So let's rotate it. Doesn't matter how I rotate that. Let's bring it down like that so we can see the top of it. And it's still dark right there. Let's see what the render shows though. And this one here we're going to pop up and rotate this way like that. Okay. All right, let's see how that looks. Let's get that kind of composed a little bit better. Zoom in a little bit more. A little better composition here. And see how that renders. Now it's going to take about 2 minutes again, so I'll pause it, but go ahead and render that one. And we'll just pause. Okay, we're back, and here's the final image. Looks really good. I'm going to go ahead and go to File, Save Image. Click on the first one I did. Just type in 2 on the next, right next to it, and click Save. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause video, and we'll see what we can do with the image. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to go ahead and find your images, and they should be in your Documents folder, Maya, Projects, and then your Project folder, and then under Images. What you want to do is, if you were saving to your hard drive, then find your hard drive, open that up, and then find your images that you saved. We're going to have 2 images. One's laying flat on the table, and one is more of an action shot, like they're thrown in the air. So we'll have 2 of them that we're going to be changing and manipulating. So they're okay. I mean, the renders are okay. They're as good as you're going to probably get in Maya. And then what you want to do is you just want to either double click on it. It'll open it up with this icon. This is Windows 11. And what you can do is you can right click over it and go to Open. Okay, and that'll do the same thing, and this opens up this editor, so you can click on Edit, and in here we can change the adjustments. We can add the adjustments to it. Okay, this is going to be really fun. Let's go in here and it's just easy. You could do this in Photoshop too, of course, and probably do a better job, but this is all part of Microsoft. This is nice to have. We're going to bring up the brightness a little bit. We don't want to go too high on that. Okay, we don't want to blow it out. You know, that's blowing it out. We don't, you know, you can see that we can just add a little bit to it, add a little bit to the exposure. I usually like doing the exposure first before the brightness. You can go a little bit higher, but you can see that just adding a little bit really helps. Okay, you don't have to go too crazy. Just add a little bit of brightness to it. Contrast, you know, maybe bring that up a little bit. And then I don't really mess with the highlights or the shadows. I'm going to turn on the vignette all the way to 100. Just kind of gives a nice little vignette to it. And then save your scene. Save as a copy. You don't want to save over top of the other one, so save as a copy. And you're going to want to find your folder again. That's the only downside to this. Okay, so we're going to call that as 1_A and save it. There we go. And we're going to close that, and we're going to go to the next one. Okay, so I'm going to double click on that. It should open that up. Go to edit and go into this and just kind of bring up the brightness a little bit, exposure up to kind of what we had before. Okay, contrast just up a little bit, and vignette all the way up. And just look at it, make sure it's not too bright. You can kind of mess with sometimes the exposure is just enough. Okay, that looks pretty good. Save options, save as a copy. And we're going to go to Dice2A_A. And that's what we'll be turning in. So I'm going to close that. So you can see we got that to that, that to that. It looks good. As you can see how dull it looks right here. I'm going to go to this one. It just you can see all the details. It's not too bright, but it does make a difference. And then that vignette is nice. So there's the first one, and there's the edited one, and then we got the Dice in Action, the original raw file, and then the edited one. Huge difference there. I can see a big difference in that. It looks good. I like it. All right, so there's some banding in there. I probably could go into Photoshop. I can't really fix that with the Microsoft edited view of that. But if the banding's not so bad here, it's a little bit worse on this one. But anyway, so I could go in there and soften all that in Photoshop and clean it all up, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. All right, so those are the two that I'm going to turn in. That one and this one. So I'll have two renders you need to turn in. Make sure you turn in the right ones. It's not that these will be graded really poorly. It's just that I really like how that one looks compared to this. So it's really a good idea to post-process any render that you do to make sure your brightness, your exposures, and adding little things like the vignette makes a huge difference in your final render. And the vignette probably caused some of the banding. I don't know. I have to see. But I do like it. I do like the vignetting. It looks pretty cool. All right. With that said, then you'll turn your stuff in as usual, create the folders I need you to create, and make sure you put your name on everything. All right, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next module.